Hi guys, welcome to the Blue Sky Lounge in episode number 4. I am your host, Tyler Iantkow. Walt Disney said that animals have personalities just like people and must be studied. It is at Animal Kingdom, which is the perfect place for edutainment that can be done. Our guest this week is Jeniece, and she's going to be talking to us about Animal Kingdom and different rides, restaurants, experiences, and areas that can be built in and around the park. Please welcome our guest this week, Jeniece.
Now, Jeniece and I go way back. In 2007, we both worked at Kilimanjaro Safaris in Animal Kingdom, hence why she's here on our Animal Kingdom episode. So, Jeniece, welcome to the Blue Sky Lounge.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Yeah, no
I'm so
problem.
excited to be here.
All right, so, Jeniece, as I mentioned, we both worked at Kilimanjaro Safaris. Why don't you give us a bit of a background on your Disney history? Because not only did you work at Kilimanjaro Safaris, but you also had a whole bunch of other roles at Disney. So give us a little bit of insight on what else you did.
All right. Well, my Disney story actually begins a little bit before we started at Safaris together. I had been going to Disney off and on, like a lot of us that were on the college program together. Had been growing up going to Disney, loved Disney. I'm sure as a lot of people who are watching the podcast also love Disney.
Right.
And I will never forget where I was sitting when I learned about the Disney College program. I was at the Hollywood Brown Derby. I was a senior in high school. It was the corner booth when you walk right into the restaurant and you take a right. It's the corner booth on the very end. In fact, I took a picture on one of my recent trips and I posted it on my Instagram. And I think the server thought I was nuts, but I was like, it's such an important spot for me. But I learned about the college program and I thought, oh my gosh, this is something that is happening in my life. And my parents thought I was crazy, but I was more determined than ever. So I went to college. I'm sure the campus rep at the time couldn't handle it because I just kept stealing all the posters. Every time I'd hang one, I'd steal one and then I'd hang it up in my room. And my roommate thought I was crazy, but she loved me. Because I would one of our little side parts of our closet, I just kept collaging with stolen Disney college program collateral. And so I knew I wanted to wait till my sophomore year, and I knew I didn't want to miss out being home for Christmas and Halloween and my birthday and things like that. So I wanted to wait till the spring. I was a phone interview school, so I did my phone interview. I was so excited, and I think the woman on the phone was very aware of how excited I was to be interviewing for Disney. And so I picked at the time you could only pick 3 things, and I picked character entertainer, I picked attractions, and then I also picked costuming. I didn't really know what that meant at the time, but it sounded cool. And so as we're going through the interview and I told her my 3 choices, I said character, and she said, oh yeah, I already figured that out. And then I said attractions, and I was like, Haunted Mansion would be really cool. And I'm sure she was thinking, yeah, no, you're not going there. I'm sure she wrote Spieling Attraction, right next to my name. I'm so sure of it. But she, so then I went, and I did the audition, and I passed, but my height range was full.
Oh, okay.
So I knew I got attractions, but you don't find out until you get there what you get. And so, but the whole time, and I don't know if you even know this, but I think it's so important to share because Safaris was such a life-changing experience for me in so many different and amazing ways. I didn't want Safaris. It was the one attraction I didn't want because of all the pressure. I knew you had to drive the vehicle around endangered animals and all the things you'd have to know. And so I was just like, oh, as long as I don't get Safaris. And then so that day that we show up and we find out what we get, and I handed the guy my book, and he got really excited, and he's like, oh, have you ever been to Animal Kingdom? And it could have been anything at Animal Kingdom. And I just knew, and he handed me the book back with the sticker that said Safaris, and I was just like, and I was ready to quit right then and there. I was so nervous. And my parents were like, nope, just tough it out, kid. Like, you can do this. And so, and everyone else in our group was so excited because they had all requested spieling attractions.
Yeah.
So everyone else was over the moon, but I was just like ready to just like be done. And so I was just like, okay, I can do this. And for the first month or two, I was every single day before work, I was just like so nervous before picking up my first truck every single day. And I say all this because by the end of the program, like it was like, I mean, everything was second nature. How to drive the thing, how, like your spiel, it just like would come out without meaning to. The interactions with guests, like how many people we would deal with in a day, like it was just so much more than, you know, I was prepared to at the time, but then it just, you just fall into it and you just learn. And by the end of it, I wouldn't have wanted anything else because it changed me in so many ways. And when I went back to school, I was a campus rep. And my friends actually noticed back at school, they're like, you're different. Like something about you is different. And I was like, I know. I was like, I have to drive a safari truck. Like that became like my marker for like, if I could do that, like I can do stuff. And so it helped me conquer other fears because I was, believe it or not, a shy person prior to that. So it really kind of pushed me out of my comfort zones and really helped me grow in a lot of ways. And so I was such a huge believer in how great the college program was for me personally. And I took a class while I was there, and that was fantastic. And I was excited to be a campus rep. And then, so I knew how bad me taking down all those posters was. And I was like, oh, whoops. Because now I was the one hanging up all those posters. And I was like, well, if those go missing, then that's just karma for me stealing that poor campus reps collateral. Because I knew the whatever of having to go around and hang up all the collateral. And so I was a campus rep until I was done with school. And then I got a professional internship in cast services at Magic Kingdom. And the best way I can describe cast services is it is like guest relations, but for cast members. And most people immediately go HR, and I go, no. And that's 2 or 3 completely separate departments that that's divided among so many different roles in Disney. But we would assist cast members with all sorts of things if they had questions about benefits, if they had questions about their main gates, if they had questions about, if somebody was picking up a shift and I was based mostly out of the Magic Kingdom. And so they'd come into the Utilidors and we would be one of their first stops, and they'd go, I don't know where I'm going. How do I get to where I picked up a shift? How do I get to where I'm going? And I was like, that is an understandable fear because the tunnels are intimidating, unique and intimidating. But so I did that for 2 semesters, but, and then in just luck and timing, I got full-time status in cast services. And my leader in that role is so phenomenal about where do you want to go with your Disney career. And so he was so great about, he knew everyone and everyone knew him. And so he was so great about meet and greets for anyone that was an intern for him. And so he would help us set up meet and greets and help us work on our resumes to just elevate it to the next level. And he helped me set up some meet and greets with people who did media events as well as conventions and different things like that. And so I got the opportunity to shadow someone for the last grad night and work that. I had the opportunity, and then through that I met people and worked kind of my way into picking up media shifts. And so then later on in my time, I was able to work things like the Christmas parade taping. And I did a music video with One Republic, and I did different photo shoots, and I did different things with the media team, and I would just come in early and I would work a later shift for my status position, and I'd work overtime for the media team.
Yeah.
And that was such an amazing experience.
That's awesome.
And I also was able to work because he was on the same team that was the operations team that did a lot of backstage stuff for cast members at Magic Kingdom. They would pull me to do like day of events for Magic Kingdom. But when we got ready to open New Fantasyland, they were like, we're going to be doing a lot of backstage stuff to really get the cast members excited, so then they can get the guests excited for all of the new stuff coming with New Fantasyland. And so they pulled me for about a 4-month TA. And so I got to be an operations assistant with Magic Kingdom and do the big cast party at Magic Kingdom and do the planning for that. And that was a really exciting event. And then we got to do all kinds of like day of events, like I said, and just like give away things for cast members and just make magic backstage. And that was a really unique experience. And then from that experience, I was able to do a year-long TA as an operations assistant with transportation, doing the same role, but I was over at the TTC working for monorail, watercraft, buses, and the Sassagoula River Cruise.
Oh,
it actually goes between those resorts over there and Disney Springs. So it was neat to see a completely different operation and have the opportunity to work with a completely new set of cast members. Yeah. And so I got to do that for a whole year. And that was a lot of fun. And then I came back to Magic Kingdom and so.
Very cool. Very cool. So you got to drive a monorail.
I did. I drove Monorail Gold on the Epcot track and Monorail Teal on the Express Beam. And I drove a ferry, and I even parallel parked a bus.
That is not...
Only in the training lot, but I was just like, when am I going to get to do this? So why not?
That is not easy. So, very cool. That is an awesome Disney story. I love hearing that. All right, let's get into it. So today's topic is Animal Kingdom. What's the first thing that you would like to see made or changed or anything in Animal Kingdom?
I have always loved the rumor that they were going to include an Australia land. I don't call it that. They'd come up with a cuter name than that. But I know that had been a rumor for a really long time. And I would just pulled up Google Earth before we started. And I was trying to figure out where, looking at kind of what borders the park, where they could like realistically put that. In a dream world, I was like, oh, wouldn't that be so cute if they could put it extending past the Finding Nemo show? But much to my sadness, there's like a bunch of water right back there. So I was like, okay, they can't expand back there, because I love that the Festival of the Lion King show is now part of the Africa part of the park. I just think that theater is gorgeous, and I love the way that all ties in. I just think that's so great. And so I was spying around, though, where Rafiki's Planet Watch, there's just like a whole huge chunk of land. What's going there? Could it be that? Like, I don't know. And maybe they have something else magical planned, but I was just like, that could be really good real estate for an entirely new land. And I know there's talk of changing Rafiki's Planet Watch, and there's a whole bunch of stuff happening there. And so that's what I would love to see. And then you could include, I don't know what an attraction would look like.
You can have like a Pangani Gorilla Exploration Trail type thing where you'll go around and you can see like koalas and kangaroos and things like that. I think that would be awesome. I think it'd be so cool. Attraction for that kind of area would be a bit harder, I think. You could do maybe almost kind of like a Navi River journey.
I thought about that too.
And the restaurant, as soon as you mentioned it, the first thing I thought of was restaurants, and you could have like Australian barbecue.
Their booth for me, during Food and Wine is one of my favorites to like continuously go back to. So if that's any indication, like just like a sampling of what they could have at like a quick service, and then expanding upon something that they could have at a sit down. So a quick service, a sit down, a walking trail, and then at least one attraction.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Do you have any other ideas?
No, I'm excited to see what they're gonna do with that dinosaur area.
I really love that area. I love the theming of it, and just the whole backstory of like Chester and Hester and everything like that. I really hope they don't do anything with that area, but just add on to it. Did you ever get to see Rivers of Light in Animal Kingdom?
I did.
Did you like it?
Once.
Yeah.
I do love the idea of nighttime entertainment.
Yeah.
The projections on the Tree of Life are stunning.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see all the different kind of exciting new additions that they've added to make that a full day experience.
Yeah. Stevie and I were talking about a more nature-oriented world of color, rather than having like all of the floats come out like it does for Rivers of Light. If you actually have like the water cannons, I think that would be a lot more entertaining. That's the one thing that I would really like to see done to Rivers of Light. And lastly, do you have any idea for restaurants in Animal Kingdom?
Well, I was actually picking my mom's brain too before I came on. And she is good at theme type stuff. She's always been really good at this kind of stuff.
Okay.
She's like, why isn't there, so if anyone uses this was her cute idea. She was like, why don't they do more stuff with some of their like animal characters? Like, why don't they utilize more of their animal characters in the park more? And she specifically honed in on the Jungle Book. She was like, how fun would something themed to like the Jungle Book? She was like, you could really tie in a lot of stuff having to do with King Louis, or make like some kind of themed type. Maybe not quite a complete rip-off of the Rainforest Cafe, but something, maybe it could be another character dining experience involving those characters, but make it like a fun bare necessities type experience. She had like she was ready to make a whole land out of it, and I was like, I don't know if a whole land could succeed, but I was like, at least something involving those characters I think would be a lot of fun.
All right, well, I think we're pretty much out of time, unfortunately. But I really appreciate you coming on and sharing us your story and sharing with us some of your ideas. And I hope that you want to come back and be a guest again.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
All right. Well,
have a wild day.
Thanks, Jeniece, for joining us on this week's episode. Now it's time to hear from you, the fans. We've had a lot of input this week, so let's get started. We had a lot of people agree with Jeniece that there should be an Australia area built in Animal Kingdom. So Disney, you better get on that. And who knows, we might come back to that idea in another show. Jennifer and Mary Susan both thought that there should be a Zootopia area built in the park. Jennifer said, I think this would be a whimsical addition to the park. Maybe a ride like Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway through all the different zones of Zootopia and learning centers about the different types of climates animals live in. I love that idea. You could have a Jumbo's Cafe, you can get a Nick Wild popsicle, and there could be a playground built for little kids based on the Zootopia Police Department's obstacle course. David is reinforcing Jenice's opinion about people wanting the Jungle Book. David thought a dual flume coaster in Camp Mini Mickey would have been great. It could have two lines, a Pocahontas side where you hear Colors of the Wind and just around the river bend and you ride in a canoe. The other line would be a Jungle Book theme and have songs like Bare Necessities and I Wanna Be Like You. On this side you would ride a Baloo canoe, just like Mowgli rode on top of Baloo down the river in the movie. I love that idea. Maybe as your canoe goes up the lift hill, there's a waterfall, and as you reach the backside of water, the water parts just as your canoe goes over the top and down the waterfall. Tracy and Darren thought that there should be a Wakanda area added to the park. I think that's a great idea. You can add on to Africa, or you can even overhaul the whole Africa area itself. In this area, you can showcase new technology and environmental initiatives. It would create a whole new world of learning and adventure, almost a mashup of Animal Kingdom and Epcot. And lastly, Sarah wrote, I think there should be more places to eat. Sarah, I agree. If you haven't gotten a reservation at Tiffin's yet, you should try, as the theming of the restaurant ties in with the Imagineering of the park. Join us next week as our guest Graham and I will discuss how Disney Parks helps those with special needs, and we'll come up with some new opportunities. And get your thinking caps on for our episode in 2 weeks, which is going to be our special Canadian Thanksgiving episode. Make sure you share your Blue Sky ideas below or email me at theblueskylounge@gmail.com. We're also on most social media platforms by searching the Blue Sky Lounge, and please make sure you like and subscribe to this channel. Thank you for taking the time out of your week to join us here at the Blue Sky Lounge, and just remember to think, dream, believe, and dare yourself to use your imagination. Who knows what kind of blue sky thinking you can do from your armchair. Have a wild time, and remember, it's a jungle out there.